with the Ben Franklin Technology Partners. Also on the line is my colleague, Roger Dagan. Roger is with the Ben Franklin Transformations team and was the head coach for the virtual TechCelerator in Northwest PA for the past 10 weeks. Roger, if you don't mind waving your hand so everyone can see you. We also have a number of people we're just absolutely honored to have with us today. Our amazing national panel of judges, and of course, the 6 newest startups in Pennsylvania. So we're really excited. So this has been a 10-week program with dozens of mentors. We've got 3 grand prizes. So you stick around to the end to find out all about that. Quite literally hundreds of hours focused on building businesses. We have special guest speakers, some really special folks coming up in just a little bit. And you're definitely in the right place if you're all about entrepreneurism and looking at the next group of excellent companies to come into the Ben Franklin fold. So with that as an introduction, please keep in mind that you can download the entire schedule today. Down in the lower left corner, you can see a URL, tinyurl.com/virtual TechCelerator run of show, VTC run of show. You've got to use the capitalization correctly to get to it. If you go to that link, you'll be able to see the entire schedule, literally minute by minute. And just as an overview, this informational session is intended for educational purposes. None of the presentations are a solicitation for funding or investment. And as you can tell by the little red light, this event is being recorded. So it's a real honor for me to introduce our CEO and president, one of the 4 Ben Franklin presidents throughout the Commonwealth, down in State College at the University Park Tech Center. Please welcome our boss and mentor, Steve Brawley.
Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome.
How are you?
We're doing great. We cannot wait to get going.
Good, good, good. Well, good afternoon, Northwest PA. Greetings from here in State College. It's fantastic to be with you all today. The only thing it would make better is if we all had a beer or wine in our hand while doing this. But I am truly excited to be spending this time with you guys this afternoon. It's such a privilege to, as Ben Franklin, for us to work with all of you and to help you explore what's possible with these businesses that you have dreamed about. We're hoping that the process, the TechCelerator bootcamp that you went through has left you with more information, has allowed you to make some better decisions, and has hopefully inspired you to keep moving forward with your opportunity regardless of what happens today. You know, we view, there may be a winner or two here today, but really we want every one of you to give these dreams, give these opportunities every chance they have to be successful. And we're hoping that with the support that we can provide from Ben Franklin and the support that's available to you across Northwest PA, that next year we'll be asking you to come back and speak about how well your business is doing. And a few years later, you'll be so big and so wealthy you won't even talk to us. So thanks for joining this afternoon. It's going to be a great experience, and I look forward to seeing the outcome.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Steve. And again, on behalf of everyone at Ben Franklin, to everyone coming in and all the startups and all the judges, thanks for participating. So once again, make sure you download the run of show, tinyurl.com/VTC run of show. Of course, there's a lot of people who go into helping make a TechCelerator possible, and none of this could be possible without our sponsors and supporters. You'll note that ECRA, the Erie County Gaming and Revenue Authority, has always been a backer of what goes on at the Ben Franklin Technology Partners, and they continue to support not only our existing companies, but also our newest companies. And we're excited that Perry Wood and his team have once again supported a Ben Franklin program. Of course, our offices, the Ben Franklin Technology Partner offices, are located on the Knowledge Park campus next to Penn State Barron or Penn State Erie, the Barron College. And we're always very appreciative of their support. This program literally could not be possible without the amazing support of the Gannon Small Business Development Center, the SBDC. Maggie Horn has an amazingly talented group of people, and she's amazingly talented, but the people that she has with her are just spectacular. I'll introduce you to two of those folks here in just a bit when we get to the coaches page. So thank you so much to Maggie and all of the leadership at the SBDC. Anyone who's listening today, any of our companies are better off by going to visit the SBDC. And then finally, Gannon University has also supported this program through the Gannon University Erie Technology Incubator. And that is led by one of our panelists today, a panel of judges, Brad Gleason. And Brad's, through Brad's leadership, has also sponsored the People's Choice Award, which we'll talk about in just a bit. And Brad also has a special announcement towards the end of the day about some of the really great things. I'm not sharing my screen. Is that what someone said? Is my screen being shared? No, it's not being shared.
No.
Okay, I bet you that makes a difference.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. So Brad will have a very special announcement coming up a little bit later this afternoon towards the end when we announce not only the Speaker's Choice, or excuse me, the People's Choice Award, but also a very special announcement from Brad. So all of our sponsors and all of our supporters, thank you very much. So let me back up here real quick. That's Steve. But just as a reminder, this informational session is intended for educational purposes only. None of the presentations are a solicitation for funding or investment, and this entire event is being recorded. So what is a TechCelerator? Well, we started in November when we waded through about 50 applicants and selected the 6 that you will meet today. In January, when we had our first class, through our last class, which was this past Tuesday, we went through a number of programs, a number of pieces of information from the classes and coaching and prep, which was 3 hours every Tuesday, an hour one-on-one every Wednesday and Thursday. And then most companies typically 5 to 10 hours of prep each week. There were coursework on customer discovery and how to do an elevator pitch, the business model canvas, which is the basis of all of the information that we're providing, human resources, legal formation, marketing and customer research, and on and on and on. What you see here today is literally 10 weeks of work and hundreds of hours of effort to get companies from a really cool idea, and some already had a product, to now being a company ready to launch. And so now what? Well, first of all, once you're part of the family, you're always part of the family. Any of these companies can always come back to Ben Franklin for guidance, support, access to our amazing team of mentors, and help them to grow their business. Of course, the next immediate goal is build something and go to market. And then, as Steve mentioned before, we would love to see all of the companies come back for a full round of Ben Franklin funding and follow-on investment. So let's talk about our coaches. I mentioned earlier Roger Dagan, my partner in crime, the head coach for the virtual TechCelerator in Northwest PA. Roger has been an amazing guide, an amazing supporter, and he's got 40 years of small to large business finance, operations, and management experience. And while we still love the Big Ten, he's a University of Minnesota graduate. That's why he loves the snow in Erie so much. And he's now a member of the Ben Franklin transformation team and the TechCelerator head coach. Then we have Jacob Jones from the Gannon SBDC. He's also a Gannon University grad, working on his master's degree in public administration, and he has nearly a decade of sales management and organizational leadership experience. We also then have Shane Foster, a graduate of Pitt, Shane is the founder of Yellow Letter Service, a Meadville marketing agency focused on helping companies build their brands and sales. Shane has extensive experience supporting entrepreneurs, helping them develop creative online and offline marketing strategies. On the Ben Franklin team is Jennifer Wingard, with nearly 3 decades of accounting experience, with extensive experience supporting small and medium-sized businesses, startups, and entrepreneurs in a wide variety of industries, including manufacturing, technology, and not-for-profits. Jennifer is our go-to when it comes to QuickBooks Pro, and she supports the entire Ben Franklin portfolio, as we like to call it. She's the expert with fun with numbers. And then finally, part of the core coaching team is Mark Holsing, part of our central skills team. Mark has extensive background in business research and support, a data analyst with experience providing data-driven solutions to various startups and entrepreneurs. And I'll tell you, when you get a market scan report from Mark, you know you've got a tremendous amount of information. So throughout the program, as people were getting information from our coaches, they would send back an email. And it's really gratifying to be able to share just a small dash of the kinds of things that were shared with the companies or with our coaches as they went forward. So thanks again to the coaches and for their amazing support. And thanks to all of these people who also were incredibly supportive, from our central skills team to all of the mentors and coaches and teachers at all of the different classes throughout the cohort. So 8 years of TechCelerators, what have we done? Well, there's 24 cohorts in those 8 years. We've graduated 150 companies, and we're going to add 6 more today. $42 million of follow-on startup funding, and generated about $30 million of revenue, leading to 340 full-time or part-time jobs, which is about $13 million in annual salaries. And as you'll see, Ben Franklin has invested about $3.6 million in 26 of those startups. So who's on the stage today? We've got 6 amazing companies in Northwest PA. Here are their logos. I won't steal any of their thunder because we're going to be making presentations here in just a moment. But know that these are the folks that came to us with an idea and a vision for where they could take that idea. And that's what the TechCelerator is all about. We have an amazing panel of judges, literally from all over the country. Lisa Evans is from Hermitage, and she's the program director at the E-Academy at Linden Point, literally educating the next generation of entrepreneurs. Sean Michaels is the vice president of Reconnect and is a serial and multiply exited tech entrepreneur, also here in Erie. Megan McKisson was the director of startups at the OPO Startups in the Midwest, and is also a managing partner at McKisson and Company out of Salt Lake City. Brad Gleason, as I mentioned earlier, is the Director of Entrepreneurial Operations at Gannon University. And Armando Reyes, who is our founder of Lake Erie Woodworks and was a 2020 Erie Reader 40 Under 40 awardee. So today's ground rules, pretty straightforward. Each company has 15 minutes of a 15-minute window. 6 of those minutes will be a presentation in a pitch style. 6 of those minutes will be the judges' Q&A. And then we'll have 3 minutes for scoring and to reset for the next company. You, as audience members, can ask plenty of questions in the chat box. At the bottom of the window is a chat box. Either chat directly with me or with my colleague, Julie Bratton, who is our executive producer today. Put in a chat, we'll accumulate all of those questions, and then we'll get things fired off when the judges go to deliberate. The judges will be scoring the companies on these metrics: the problem, the market, what is their solution, the revenue model, the team, the financials, and is their presentation overall pretty solid? Now you, at the end of all of this, once all the companies are presented, will get a chance to vote in the People's Choice Award. Now, as I mentioned before, that's sponsored by the Erie Technology Incubator, and Brad Gleason will be making the announcement along with a special announcement towards the end. But this is what the polling looks like. Once you vote, you get to vote for one company. We'll total all those votes and announce the award winner at the end. And then finally, when the judges return from deliberations, they'll have plenty of comments about all of the companies and the experience they've had. And then we'll make some announcements. The People's Choice winner, the Gannon ETI special announcement, and then finally, Steve Brawley will make our Judges' Choice winner announcement for a total of up to $10,000. Once again, this informational session is intended for educational purposes only. None of the presentations are a solicitation for funding or investment, and the event is being recorded. So with that as a way to kick things off, why don't we start with our very first company, Leverage for Data. And Sarah, if you don't mind sharing your screen, we'll get things going. And thank you all very much again for coming by.
Sarah, you're on mute.
Well, I did my practice round that way too. Apparently that didn't quite cut it. Anyways, thank you, Brian. And thank you to the person who pointed out my mute. Anyways, since 2001, the United States lost 3.7 million jobs to China, and 75% of those were in manufacturing. China's wages are much less, and the US simply can't compete on price. But there's hope. The number one reason the US wins jobs back from China is quality, including rework and warranty. For small to mid-sized manufacturing companies that want to improve their quality without paying a fortune, they need Leverage for Data. We at Leverage for Data help discrete manufacturers make good quality parts by optimizing quality and driving efficiencies so that they can win back orders. The team at Leverage for Data understands the pain and disruption quality issues can cause because we've lived it. We've applied innovation and technology to reduce risk and streamline processes for a major corporation. My name is Sarah Hanks, founder and CEO of Leverage for Data. I have made a career in quality. I'd like to introduce Kenny Langness, the founder and CTO.
Producing quality parts is hard to do. If it wasn't, then it wouldn't be the number one driver of returning manufacturing to the US. You have defect management for the problems that arise in your plant, deviations requested by your customer, audits and inspections to maintain that quality. And regardless of how great your quality is, you will also always have to allow for customers to raise issues so that you can continue to improve. Our conversations, though, have found that the most immediate pain point lies within quality planning, which is the process of determining what needs to be done to qualify a part and what needs to happen to maintain that quality. And take a relatively simple part, for example. While this part looks like it should be simple to produce, it requires 168 pages of documentation to demonstrate that the process and material is good. This requires 1,000 lines of data to be measured and recorded. Ultimately, it takes 20 hours of work just to qualify this part. Our customers tell us that in order to speed this up, they need to have a tool that allows for collaboration, helps drive accountability, and allows for integration with other tools and their customers. Our first product was developed with these things in mind, which will allow one customer to save 1,000 hours of non-value add work per year for a small to mid-sized company. This is $60,000 of company spend that could be focused elsewhere. While our initial product is focused on new part planning, we plan to solve quality challenges with a platform of products that cover the quality lifecycle. This includes quoting, deviations, new part planning, defect tracking, and customer issues. By building the right solution for these, we expect our customers can reduce non-value add work equivalent to the time of 3 to 5 people. These savings in time can be redirected to allow the company to acquire new customers and products. The transportation supply chain market is massive, on the order of $630 billion annually. But in a massive market, there is also massive waste. $60,000 of new part introductions are late, and 8% of new parts are defective. The quality software market is not empty. However, the solutions that are available today were not built with a smaller customer in mind. They are complex and often require an entire team of people to get set up and running. Our software stands apart as it is simple to use and quick to set up.
Our go-to-market strategy starts with brand awareness at a national level with the Reshoring Institute and the Manufacturing Extension partnerships. We will partner with companies who make complementary software to leverage their customer base. And finally, our sales strategy is 100% commission-based, both in sales and consulting. The consulting, in fact, feeds our sales funnel for our software subscriptions. By outsourcing the consulting and direct sales, we are able to collect revenue ahead of paying salaries, keeping cash flow mostly positive. Our sales launch in the third quarter, and by the end of the year, the total revenue is $163K. In 2022, we add a third revenue stream through training. As cash flow improves, we invest in the community by hiring local software developers. We end the 2022 fiscal year with over $1 million in sales. By the end of 2023, we reach 1.9 million in annual revenue, and our employees are up to 8 people, including a data scientist. With the use of the funding, we'd add incentives to customer discovery. We would develop training content and focus on marketing our product and service. Helping us along the journey are a team of local members in the local community. Do you want to win back orders from China with top quality? Well, sign up for our consulting and software as a service products and get started today. You can win orders for Team USA. Thank you for holding your questions until the very end. We'd be happy to answer them now.
Sarah, thank you so much. Kenny, you as well. And really all our compliments to the two of you. We know that this journey has been a challenging one at times, but you continue to deliver with flying colors. So thank you very much. What we'll do now is we'll throw it to our judges and we'll get them to ask a series of questions that they have about your presentation. We'll start off with Brad Gleason from the Erie Technology Incubator.
Thank you, Brian. So my one question is, I saw in your financials that you have a lot of revenue built into your consulting. Real quick and upfront, what's your first and hardest sale point when you're going out there and trying to lock down the consulting agreements you have built into your budget?
I think that I guess connecting with companies to find the opportunities. The way our consulting program is structured is a 1 week long event where we walk a company through a continuous improvement journey throughout the course of the week. The output of that is hopefully a decision to buy our product. And in order to make those connections, I think having a strong brand awareness is important. And that's why we're focusing on nationally recognized institutions to help grow that brand awareness.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Megan McKisson, your question for Leverage for Data.
Hi, hi Sarah and Jenny. So my question is, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me, Brian? Okay, cool.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, my question is, how do you integrate with existing ERP?
So that's part of our
There's
technology.
a lot of aftermarket software solutions.
Yeah, our plan is to either leverage companies that have learned how to integrate to ERPs or to build out those ERP integrations as part of our solution. We're in contact with one of the major ERP companies to start those conversations. They often will entertain working with startups.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Sean Michaels, if you have any questions for Leverage for Data.
I have a question. Sarah, you mentioned that your sales strategy was to outsource and use consultants and to partner with other complementary software packages. I think that can be a really great way to go because it's kind of pay as you go. You don't have to invest in your own sales resources. The flip side of it is it can be challenging because you don't have control over that channel. You kind of are at their mercy. How much do you worry about that negative side of kind of outsourcing the sales function?
I mean, to your point, our intent of making that decision was really just to keep salaries at a minimum. In our financial forecast, we do plan on hiring a full-time salesperson to start pulling some of that control back in. And then in terms of like working with third parties for consulting, drive through the language of the contract as much control as we can get.
Very good. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Sean and Sarah. Next up, Lisa Evans, questions for Leverage for Data.
Yes, I had a question about your prototype. Do you have a prototype now? You mentioned that you were going to work with other people, but in the business summary, it says after your beta product is released, your code will be copyrighted. So are you making it or are you using somebody else's or do you have it now? Have you tried it? I'm a little confused about that part.
We do have a beta prototype software available now. We're working with a company to test that out and to refine the features.
So you made it or you're using somebody else's?
We made it.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Lisa. And someone who's all about quality, especially when it comes to great wood furniture, the founder of Lake Erie Woodworks, Armando Reyes. Any questions for Leverage for Data?
My first, I guess my biggest question would be, it seems like this is something that you're gonna have to put a pretty big amount of marketing to get this idea out to companies so that they can know who you are and understand your product. What's gonna be the biggest resource for you marketing wise? Like how are companies going to find you and know your product and come buy it?
Yeah, I think, well, our marketing kind of journey started a while ago. We have leveraged the SBDC's resources to create a mailing list and are starting to build our brand through a weekly blog that's giving, companies some expertise and tips on a weekly basis. Also leveraging social media platforms and working on our website to search with SEO optimization. And that's some help that the SBDC provided as well. I think really, and that's where I'm thinking about partnering more nationally. So the Reshoring Institute, for example, is on a mission to, if they're a nonprofit organization, they have a team that's trying to help companies move work back to the United States. So working with an organization that's already established and using their network to grow our brand is our strategy at the moment.
Excellent. Armando, thank you. Sarah, thank you. Now what we'll do is ask our judges to take a minute or so to put in their scores for the various categories as well as their notes on their digital form. And then we will prepare for our next presentation, which will be Melanie Brewer with A Way Together. As Melanie is preparing and as we're getting our judges ready, please make sure that if you do have questions or as you have questions for our various companies, you can use the chat box at the bottom of your Zoom window. The chat box should go to either Julie Breton or you can also share it with me, Brian Slaywin. We'll accumulate all of those questions towards the end, and during the judges' deliberation, we will certainly be asking those questions of the various startups. So we're almost ready to go with Away Together. Melanie, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, and if the judges will wave at me when they are ready to proceed, once they've done all of their scoring, if you don't mind waving at me once you're ready. Sean, Armando, Lisa, I think I saw Brad, and Megan. Awesome. All right, our next company is located here in Erie, PA. It's Melanie Brewer with Away Together. Melanie, the stage is yours.
There are apps for almost everything. Want to figure out which tropical drink matches your personality? There's an app for that. Or learn how to say hello in a new language? App for that too. Would it blow your mind if I told you that while some travel accommodations have their own individual apps, a platform does not exist that allows connectivity between an accommodation, the guest, and location as a whole? My name is Melanie Brewer with Away Together. I have an international business degree from Penn State and have spent the last 18 years as a strategic communicator. My partner, John Buchert, and I went on vacation where the entire goal was to relax on the beach. The tropical storm coming through the island, though, had a different idea. As we sat under the covered veranda, we watched the restless children at the table next to us, which got us thinking. What if the host had the ability to notify its guest? Until Mother Nature cooperates, there will be a Monopoly game in Cafe Tropical. Bring your game faces. Board games not your thing? We will be serving margaritas. It's this small communication that could turn a potentially bad experience into a good one, and a good experience into a great one. Research shows that communication increases satisfaction, while lack of communication increases the likelihood of a bad review. Guests understand when there's a problem. They just want to know about it before experiencing it. Before now, the ability for hosts to communicate consisted of whiteboards in the lobbies, phone calls, and letters under doors. The ability to interact was dependent upon front desk check-ins, check-outs, and responding to needs. 97.7% of consumers read other traveler reviews prior to booking. Bad online reviews cost U.S. businesses an estimated $537 billion a year. So how can accommodations improve communication and satisfaction for every guest, reducing the likelihood of a bad review? Introducing Away Together. By providing a user-friendly social platform, the hospitality professional can promote the guest experience as well as allow patrons to interact with one another while providing options for other local events and activities with real-time feedback from other vacationers in the same location. At Away Together, we believe that when guests have open communication channels with their accommodations and have the tools to access different service offerings, they will have a more pleasurable stay, which will result in return visits and more positive reviews. Away Together bridges the gap between concierge and connectivity by casting a geofence around each island, each state, each region, and providing a unique identifier through the accommodation. The traveler can interact with other travelers, see other local venues, and still connect with the hosts. With a market largely driven by consumer reviews, Away Together provides the ability for guests to immediately create a review during or directly after a trip. Bad online reviews affect the average daily booking rate of an accommodation by 9%. Our first target market is the Caribbean. In 2019 alone, $59 billion was spent on Caribbean travel. The market segment is comprised of roughly 2,500 unique brick and mortar buildings, ranging from bungalows to luxury high-rises. Of those, 26% are large chains, but the others are locally owned. Our strategy to go to market is to focus on brands with more than 3 locations. After we obtain a core group of 30 accommodations in one geographical area, the Bahamas, for example, we will then employ a sales team specific to each location. In the Caribbean, there are currently 327,000 rooms available, and the average occupancy rate is 63.1%. Based on the average room cost, the accommodations are missing out on over $4.5 billion in revenue annually. Away Together is unique by providing a benefit to the accommodation and to the traveler. Through the benefit of a better review, the accommodations will encourage guests to download the app before or upon check-in. Each accommodation will have the tools, training, and marketing materials needed to successfully utilize the platform. By improving communication, an accommodation can increase the booking of its location. By obtaining sponsorships from local shops, restaurants, attractions, and activities, travelers will be able to connect with local services. At an average price of $2,000 per month, the cost is the equivalent of 19 vacant rooms for one day. To enhance the experience for all travelers, we will obtain local advertising at $250 per month. We plan to go to market in October of 2021. With an aggressive sales strategy, we will garner new accommodations at a rate of 10 per month and maintain a 90% retention rate. Better yet, Away Together is free to the traveler. As you can see, the business will be profitable after the first year and grow significantly in revenue every year after. The blue line represents total revenue, while the orange line reflects total expenses. The gray line is net profits. In 2023, we plan on creating over 25 full-time jobs, which reflects accurately in the slight dip in net profit. Most of these jobs staying right here in the Erie area, as well as internships and partnerships with local universities. As mentioned earlier, some of the larger chains have individual apps for guest services. However, as you can see, they do not possess the ability to have an active conversation with the host or other guests. The other competition, text, email, phone calls, social, still don't allow for communication to the greater population. With the $10,000 from Ben Franklin, we would further the app development and focus on pre-sales to our target market. Away Together brings the host, the guest, and the location all together on one platform to experience better experiences. The goal of Away Together is simple: to enjoy, highlight, and enhance the guest experience. We appreciate your time and are happy to entertain any questions.
Melanie, thank you so much for your participation in the program, for just being rock solid from day one. And again, another fantastic presentation. Thank you so much for sharing your vision with us. And why don't we start off with our first set of questions from our judges. Why don't we start with Megan McKisson for Away Together.
Hi, great presentation, Melanie. That was awesome. One of my questions was, are you going to white label this for each like resort, or I know that some of them are very small you're talking about?
So that's a great question, Megan. And in the very beginning, that was a focal point of discussion for us. It is not going to be white labeled. Away Together has so much more in the form of capabilities and accessibility that really people travel so frequently that this is going to be the next go-to concierge travel app.
Awesome, Melanie. Thank you, Megan. Thank you as well. Next, Sean Michaels, questions for Melanie Brewer and Away Together.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Hey, Melanie, your presentation made me want to go on vacation. So thank you for that. I was just wondering, so a common scenario might be I book through Airbnb or VRBO or one of those kind of things. And then as the traveler, I would also download your app, right?
So the Airbnb and VRBO, like the offsets, if you will, are not our target market right now. So our target market is specific to hotels, chains, resorts, those types of accommodations. You could, in essence, download the app, but the entire, well, the majority of the marketing strategy is to have the consumer, which is the accommodation at this point, encourage the app download, so then that way you can access the accommodations, attractions, and activity schedule, as well as communicate to those around you.
I see. Okay, well, thank you for that clarification. I didn't catch that. So I guess with that in mind, do you worry about app apprehension, if you will? I know people are often reluctant to add one more app, and you know, how much do you worry about the breaking through to the customer and convincing them to download this app?
And I appreciate that, and I know that also goes back to the ability, if you will, to patent something like an app. And I can tell you a few different things. One, we are hard workers, we're first to market, and we know that we have a solid product. And kind of an offshoot is we have a strong connection here in Erie to the Caribbean market. So the end goal would be to get the accommodations to push the app download to the end user. But we've got kind of a network of folks willing and able to help us get those into the Caribbean market.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Now on to Lisa Evans. Questions for Melanie and Away Together.
Yeah, hi Melanie. My question was about your team. I see you there and you're saying we have a connection and we are building an app. And how far along are you with the app? Do you have an app developer and who is the we in your team?
Fair enough. I can appreciate that, Lisa. So it's right now myself and then John Buchert, who's listed on the corporate summary.
Yeah.
We do have an app developer, which in essence will be a chief technology officer. Long story short, not to get into the weeds, but we had somebody secured about a year ago. And I think they overpromised something that their capabilities were, could match. So they kind of just fell off the radar. So we finally secured that person and we're looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Armando, questions for Melanie and Away Together.
Yeah, so my question would be, I guess as a worry for the resort that downloads the app, how much work do they have to do? Because it seems like if they have to constantly update every new event and every new thing that's happening, it seems like they would have a lot of work on their end to update that constantly. So is that something that they have to do, or are you doing that work for them?
That's a great question. So there's two parts to that. So there's a website platform to the app itself, and it syncs with a calendar. So most accommodations have, Margarita Monday, Taco Tuesday, you fill in the crazy names. And then the app would just consistently pull from that calendar. So it's not two non-syncing platforms, right, where they'd have to go in and manually enter everything. And then the app would have the ability, so, bartender screwed up and didn't order X number of bottles of something, you can dynamically change that event. So then that way it automatically syncs to the app. So Margarita Monday now became My Time Monday. No big deal. It's changed in the calendar. You move on. So the amount of time needed is not significant.
Great, thank you. And final questions from Brad Gleason.
Thank you. So you mentioned in 2023, you were going to have a large staff infusion in Erie, which is great to hear. My question, I see a lot of your revenue is both new resorts and resort renewals. So I'm assuming a lot of those positions are sales. So can you tell me how you're going to both maintain and keep your revenue base while you're growing new business with that employee base?
Great question, Brad. So how we envision, especially in the next year or two, is really employing friends and family as well as other passionate entrepreneurs who get the sales mission, who can be salespeople until we get to that point where there's going to be somebody stationed in the Bahamas or somebody stationed in X, Y, and Z location. So it's local folks, as well as we'll need tech support, we'll need customer service, we'll need all of those different things. The virtual meetings are really what's going to keep down cost of acquisition. So the setup to the actual physical trip would be predominantly virtual meetings, which it needs to be local folks for that.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Melanie. Now it's up to our judges. If you don't mind, please scoring Away Together and putting all of your comments and notes in your digital file that you'll be sharing with us later. That would be great. As we get prepared for Nitrous Sky, I really want to thank everyone for being part of the Ben Franklin Virtual TechCelerator graduation and championships. The support for entrepreneurism in Northwest PA is really spectacular, and you're all part of that. So thank you for taking the time, and thank you for your interest in the 6 newest startup companies in Northwest PA. Coming up next is Nitrous Sky, and Mitch, if you'd like to load up your first screen, We'll wait for the judges to wave at me or make some sort of signal that they are now ready to get ready for Nitrous Sky. And we'll just wait for the judges to wave at me so we can see that. Megan, thank you. Sean is getting close. Armando, thank you. Brad and Lisa, how you doing? Lisa's good. Brad's almost there. And we'll get ready for Nitrous Sky. Remember, if you do have a question or a comment specifically for any particular company, we just go ahead and chat either me or Julie Bratton in the chat room, and we'll get things going. All of our judges ready? Brad, you ready? Brad Gleason, are you ready?
Yes.
Wait, awesome. Thank you, buddy. All right. Mitchell Clark and the team at Nitrous Sky, the stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mitch Clark, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Nitrous Sky LLC, a carbon neutral on-demand delivery company. Picture this, you run a business and your customers are calling and emailing, asking you how they can get their orders delivered, but you know that you don't have the time or resources to offer delivery. Let's say you run a pharmacy. Where can you turn to get those prescriptions delivered to your customers? We live in an on-demand and convenience-driven world. So whether you're a consumer or business owner, you know the pains of inconvenience. You know that you can't afford to wait around for delivery of the things you need. But the problem is running errands is really boring. So leave the boring stuff to us. We provide quicker, cleaner, and more convenient delivery of items. We're quicker because of a simple online ordering process with crowdsourced drivers dispatched immediately. Cleaner because we use carbon neutral vehicles, meaning electric and hybrid electric vehicles. And more convenient because all you need to do is specify where and when you want deliveries done, and we take it off your plate. Over 70% of Americans state they value the convenience of home delivery to them. Convenience is king in a post-pandemic world ruled by work from home and e-commerce. So that's where Nitrous Sky enters. On-demand delivery is still a rapidly growing market, but there's tons of room for improvement in that market. Say no thanks to annoying manual spreadsheets, paying your own employees to deliver, or paying for expensive driving insurances. We'll handle delivery for you, so make more money and waste less time. Our product's core focus is on simplicity and ease of use.
Hi, my name is Owen Lowry, and I'm the CTO and co-founder of Nitrous Sky LLC. To get started, simply just visit the Nitrous Sky website or download the Nitrous Sky mobile app, place your order, and you're off. All you need to do is enter where you'd like your deliveries, what the item is, and any other details you consider relevant. No account required, no long-term contracts, completely online payment, a full order history stored online. Nitrous Sky's prices are auto-calculated at flat rates of $10 per trip with $5 per additional drop-off address on that trip. Our pricing formula is simple and transparent. We are able to offer our customers reduced delivery costs by eliminating the hiring of drivers, the purchase and maintenance of vehicles, and the expense of insurance payments. Our only goal is to make delivery as simple, easy, and convenient as possible for the customer. These next two slides illustrate our anticipated yearly revenue and net income for the next 3 years. The fast growth is possible because of low overhead costs and quick growth made possible by our tech. Whether it's pharmacy prescriptions, clothing, electronics, or whatever your business needs delivered, we're here for it. Want your prescriptions moved quick? We'll do it. A small, medium, or large business, it doesn't matter. Delivery is critical in today's world. Our customer channels includes a mix of both digital and traditional marketing methods in order to both generate new customers and retain our existing customers, including pharmacies in the Erie area.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Bouzis. I'm the COO and third co-founder of Nitrous Sky. So let's talk about the competition. Our competition ranges from local couriers to international marketplaces to federal mail carriers. The competition varies widely in the scope of scheduling and item flexibility. Nitrous Sky is designed to be flexible. We've taken the ease of ordering that's popular with other ride sharing and delivery apps to allow consumers and businesses alike to ship on demand any goods they have. Our team has a strong blend of operational and technical skill sets. We have experience in the logistics space and technology space that will prove useful to us. We intend to use any investments in the near future to grow our business primarily through marketing. Additionally, funds will be invested in expanding the functionality of our technology. We are keenly focused on 3 components to grow our business: sales growth, job creation, and regional expansion. As discussed previously, we anticipate total annual sales to exceed $500,000 in 2023, with nearly a 40% profit. To address this volume of business, we anticipate a need for a driver force exceeding 75 contractors, as well as 10 office jobs. Though we currently only operate in Northwest PA, we plan to provide service across the state. Also, we're looking to expand into select other states. So whether you're shipping across the street or across the state, start shipping with Nitrous Sky. Just download the Nitrous Sky app, place an order quickly, and experience our quicker, cleaner, more convenient delivery service. Thank you for your time, and we can now answer any questions you may have.
Great. Mitch, Owen, Mike, thanks so much for sharing the benefits of Nitrous Sky with everybody. Why don't we start off with our first set of questions, our first line of questions from Shawn Michaels.
Thanks, Brian. Hey, good job, guys, with the presentation. Just a question on differentiation. You brought up that competitor kind of quadrant analysis. Is the big is your big pitch that you're carbon neutral, that you offer a cleaner alternative to, say, like a Postmates that you mentioned? Is that the big thing that sets you apart in your mind?
If you would have asked us at the beginning, I would have liked to have said yes, but no, it's not anymore, because we've learned that through trial and error. Just because what we've learned they value, and what we think the differentiator is the convenience and cost aspect. If you're talking Postmates or these other Uber mainstream, DoorDash, any of them, their main thing is they're delivering one item to one place. We're a little different in the sense that we'll batch deliveries, and we're more focused on, that's why we mentioned things like pharmacies, where we can hit multiple stops in one trip, however many they need.
So would you say building in those efficiencies is really kind of your secret sauce?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, is really like taking as little effort out of it, making it as low effort as possible for the customer to be as efficient as possible.
Very good. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Sean. Lisa Evans, questions for Nitrous Sky.
Sorry, I was muted. So one of my questions is, your customers, you mentioned businesses, but you also mentioned individuals. Do you do both, or are you just business focused?
Yeah, we're really heavily business focused. And that's something we've learned, just because that average order value is much higher, and it's just much simpler for us to attack that.
Mm-hmm. And then your drivers, how do you find them in the carbon neutral car, or is that not your thing? Like, I'm thinking about my area and how many people drive that type of car. It's not all that common. So how would you move into an area that's more rural?
Yeah, I think that's part of our targeting too, is focusing on areas with a larger concentration of that. For finding and recruiting drivers, we do have a lot of, we do online kind of like, I guess you call them ads or application posts for that, where one of the fields required is the vehicle type. And that's why we kind of opened it up to hybrids too, because if you're just talking pure electric only, like a Tesla, for example, the concentration of that in somewhere like Erie, especially with very poor weather, is going to be a lot lower. So that's kind of why we opened it up.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Lisa. And Armando Reyes, questions for Nitrous Sky.
Yeah, so I guess I have a couple of questions. One being, and I think you kind of cleared it up, whether who your actual customer is, like who is your target customer. I can just give you an example myself as a business. I would need a delivery service to deliver my finished product to a customer, but I also have portions of my business where somebody could order something from me. So if it was lumber or, woodworking supplies, is that something that they can use this service and say, I want this thing from this business, can you pick that up for me? So that's two different customers. Second, I think where I would appreciate a delivery service, if you're just dealing with people who have cars or smaller vehicles, there's times where I need things that are delivered that don't fit in a car, right? If I wanted to have a dining room table delivered to a customer, I'm going to need something more than somebody in their small car. So, is there any, and nobody at this point is doing that type of delivery service, this more personal, local, done, but with the ability to deliver things on a larger scale or in a larger size. So I'm wondering if that's something that you would expand into or look into. And then, like I said in the first question, who is that exact type of customer you're going after?
Yeah, sure. So on the first part of it, when you were talking about the specific item types, I mean, we've have our main focus on lower weight items that can fit within that space requirement, space constraint of the car. So that's kind of precisely why prescriptions were one of our major targets. For the types of deliveries, you mean, for a business, needing something taken on demand, that just from the type of delivery does fit what we're doing. And yes, when it comes to larger items, on the second part of your question, that is a space we'd like to down the road get into. I mentioned on that competitor slide, there's a company that's really taken hold called Roadie, where they actually have a large fleet of drivers specifically with pickups and larger vehicles to fit things like tables, trash, things like that. So down the road, that's certainly something that probably has a lot of demand.
Great. Thank you, Armando and Mitch. Brad Gleason, one quick question.
Yeah, this is definitely where the industry is going. So scaling is going to large cities, and scaling is definitely where your mind needs to be at. So I'm glad to hear that. My big question is, have you thought about taxation? Municipalities are taxing delivery services, and is that built into your budget at the moment?
Yeah, so on taxation, one of the things that applies not just to that, I guess, is there's legal risks that we're looking at, including that. The other part is the independent contractor, stuff like that, some of the challenges there. When it comes to taxation, we don't currently have that we are being charged in PA. We're not charged that tax on the shipping and delivery right now on PA on what we do specifically, because we've actually talked with I spoke with the PA Department of Revenue on the phone too about that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And finally, Megan McKisson, questions for Nitro Sky.
I do have questions. First of all, I'm still a little unclear on who you're targeting as your market. Is it B2B, B2C, like as a consumer? Can I request formula and then you have or is it just like business to business? And then if those efficiencies you talked about, do you have an algorithm that would be able to group those? Like if I need formula and someone else needs a prescription, how do you group that? Is it manual at this point?
Yeah, for the first part of what you asked, in terms of the exact customer target, it's delivering from the businesses to other businesses, but that's part of it. But what we're doing right now is delivering B2C, so delivering from those pharmacies to their customers' addresses. A lot of it right now is elderly folks and people with isolated. And then for batching, for the when you talk about formula and prescriptions, I think that's going to be more of like advanced technology feature we'll build in. Right now, we're not differentiating on the item level on things like that.
Great, Mitch, thanks. Megan, thank you
I
so
got one more
much. Yeah, we're just gonna keep it moving forward. Okay, you can chat me and we'll make sure that we get Mitch's question here in a bit. Get that question to Mitch. So what I'd like to do is get the judges to score and leave their comments, of course, on their score sheet. Then we will get prepared for our next company is Bigfoot Social Distance Trainer with Michelle Myodashevsky. And we'll get that going here in just a little bit. Just a quick reminder for everyone, the People's Choice Award voting will occur after the judges depart for their deliberations. And that will occur after the very last company presents, where you get your opportunity to tell everybody who you think the People's Choice company should be. And that, of course, is $1,000 awarded with our partners at the Gannon Erie Technology Incubator. So we are pretty much on schedule. Let's keep things rolling. I'm going to wait to see the judges and make sure that they are all ready to go. If you'll wave your hand vigorously and obnoxiously, that will let me know it is time to go. All right, thanks so much. Michelle, would you please introduce your company, Bigfoot Social Distance Trainer?
Thank you. So COVID has impacted every aspect of our daily lives. We will never look at the common cold or flu the same way again. So are you concerned about the spread of COVID in schools? What about during extracurricular activities? Looking to stop or slow the spread of the flu or the cold this year? Thankfully, social distancing is one of the leading solutions to solve this and create a safer environment. But how do you teach a child who developmentally does not have the skill to judge distance to maintain 6 feet? Well, thankfully, as a pediatric occupational therapist, I have the skill to be able to teach abstract concepts like that in a concrete, effective manner. I also know that children under the age of 10 don't developmentally have that skill yet. So what does an entrepreneur do during a global pandemic? Well, they create Bigfoot Social Distance Trainer. I'm thankful to let you know that I'm an occupational therapist and have been for 20 years. And although I have not caught the COVID bug or the flu bug this year, I have caught the entrepreneurial bug, and I've been suffering from my condition for 12 years with Niagara Therapy, an occupational, physical, and speech-based practice here in Erie, Pennsylvania. So, being that we had a global pandemic and I needed something to do, I created the Bigfoot Social Distance Training System. As you can see here, it's a physical toolkit as well as a digital manual that allows children to be able to learn the valuable skill of social distance, not only for COVID, but for flu and cough prevention as well. The digital manual allows anybody charged with childcare the ability to teach this with multi-manipulatives, allowing instruction to be happening in a one-on-one environment as well as classroom environment. Now, I have to introduce you to my friend Wesley. Wesley's here. He's a 7-year-old with special needs. Mom was a very concerned teacher. And as we got done with lockdown, Mom came into the office and was very concerned about Wesley's ability to judge distance. Now, we immediately started Wesley on the Bigfoot program, and Wesley has a very creative spirit. And with that, he made a lot of games with those 6 feet. We'll talk more about Wesley in a second, but we've got to get back to business. Obviously, we did some communication discussions with educational professionals as well as moms and dads. What we determined is that women between their mid-20s and mid-60s are our target audience, basically our childcare decision makers. Based on public school data, we also found that there are approximately 1.5 million teachers, also 1.5 million classrooms that are in need for this. That equates to 32 million children in the public school system alone. Now, obviously, we're not going to attack all of that, but if we look at getting a 5% market share, we could potentially be looking at 75,800 professional units, which equates to 5.7 million in sales, and ultimately 1.6 million kids kept safer. Now, there's currently no other system on place to teach 6 foot of distance. And we obviously know that teachers and parents are struggling as well as feeling overwhelmed by all of the concerns out there presently. Are you wondering about Wesley? let's touch base and see how he's doing. Well, thankfully, Wesley enjoyed playing with the Bigfoot social distance trainer, and he was able to consistently judge 6 feet. Now, not only was he able to do this one-on-one, but he also, as you can see, was able to complete that with his peers due to the step-by-step digital manual that the caregivers had when doing his training. As you can imagine, we would be largely e-commerce based and doing our bulk of our majority marketing through email and social media. As you can also see by the breakdown of costs, this is an easily affordable and justified tool when you compare things to the medical costs associated with the cough, flu, or COVID. As we reviewed the 3-year pro forma, we determined that there is a potential for 1.25 million in revenue through 3 years. That equates to 640,000 of gross profit and just shy of 500,000 net income. As we take those big steps ahead, we do need to have a plan for our 10,000 that we raised today. Our big plan for that is working on mostly marketing, as you can see by our chart, and that's after a personal investment of $12,500. Now, how we plan on managing the company is actually already under construction. We actually are on the beginning phases of having an independent sales agent brought on as an independent contractor, quickly then transitioning to a W-2 employee to work on sales, order fulfillment, and management. As the lead managing in the company, I'll be working with independent contracts and support teams with my companies. But I really want to keep things in Erie. So we want to make sure that we're using Erie-based manufacturing for our custom parts, as well as our packouts. It makes it nice and convenient to pop over and visit them. Now, are you wondering about my friend Wesley? Well, thankfully, he graduated the program. And what's really exciting about my friend Wesley, that even with special needs, weeks after he completed the program and wasn't formally in it anymore, he came to visit me at the office. He sat down at the table across from me and was so excited to show me something. He backed up away from me, pulled down his mask, made a hysterical face, and came back to the table to join the conversation. Naturally and effortlessly, it worked. The Bigfoot Social Distance Program works. And not only is Wesley one of our first graduates, but even though he doesn't know it, he's still an active user. We were thrilled that Wesley, his friends, and family are staying safer. So with that being said, I would welcome you to become a dedicated distance deputy with me today with this opportunity and joining the solution. As you can see, my contact information is here. And I'd like to thank all of the folks at Ben Franklin, all of my mentors for helping me take these big steps in our Bigfoot launch. What questions can I answer for you today?
Awesome, Michelle. Thank you so much. We love your energy. We think you're doing great things for a lot of people. So thank you again. Why don't we start the questioning from our judges with Lisa Evans. Lisa?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for showing us your product in action. It was great to see the case study and your product in your presentation. So thank you for that. So my question is, your product is out and about. Was that just one specific?
Actually have one right here.
Oh,
just convenient, isn't that?
Yes.
So we actually have 2 versions.
Okay.
So we have the personal home version, which is a softer pad. It's a lower cost option. So the personal item for sale costs $45. The goods cost for me is actually $16.54. So that's here. And then the professional version is actually this. And so it's actually hard. It's not, believe me, we've given it to many kids. They have not yet to break one. So we actually have this as well. And then it also has the 6 feet. And then same thing with the feet. You won't be able to see it on the chat, but the professional feet are thicker. They're twice as thick as the home version. So we actually did get samples made. And so we actually are now stocking. So we are ready to go live with sales.
Yes, and that's great. And thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. Armando, question for Bigfoot Social Distance.
Yes. So I saw in the one graphic how you said there's, how many thousands of classrooms and then how many thousands of teachers, how many thousands of students. My question is, how do you combat or how do you market this product? That was assuming a sale per classroom, where why wouldn't it be one sale per school and they would just use the product in multiple classrooms since they already have it? Why would somebody buy multiple if they're going to be in the same facility? I could imagine, you would sell one for every daycare, but I'm just trying to see where you would get multiple sales more sales in one facility.
Yep. So it would be challenging because moving between classrooms, having the equipment, it could be done. It would be very challenging. We also incentivize, we actually have two packages. We have a school-based package that runs $720 and you actually get 10 kits, plus you actually get some free online training. So we actually offer free virtual training when a school buys a kit. Then if you want to step it up a notch, you can actually purchase a district kit, and the district kit runs $2,000. It includes 30 kits, and that also comes with an expanded virtual training program that's offered to the school district, and that can be run. It could be divided and separated into different schools because the larger the package, the more hours of virtual education and help that they get.
Great, Michelle. Thank you for the tight answer. Now let's go on to Brad Gleason.
Hi, Michelle. Love your energy.
Thank you.
So I see an enormous digital play with what you're doing. It sounds like you have the virtual training piece already. Do you have a plan for the digital expansion of this, or is that not part of your plan at the moment? I'm just curious if you've thought about that.
Sure. So I've toyed with a little bit of it. And part of my actually big picture is some other things that I think would be much more applicable to digital. The challenge with digital and children they aren't developmentally ready to have this skill anyway. So actually putting a physical foot tends to be very valuable to them in the learning process. Now, as we know that COVID does have a limited expiration, there is some potential employment things that I have to look at in the future. And that one, there is some really interesting digital work that can be done because that would be done with adults. So that is actually something that I'm playing with the idea of in the future with vocational based training, because the Bigfoot distance is really about teaching distance measurement and distance accuracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Michelle Majodaszewski is the owner and founder of Bigfoot Social Distance Trainer. Megan McKisson, questions for Michelle.
Hey, Michelle. And I mean this very respectfully. First of all, cool product. Second of all, I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time. I ran a mom's group. I was a literacy aide for AmeriCorps, and I've taught in adult education. I don't know why I wouldn't, and I'm saying this with all due respect, just steal your idea and cut out paper feet. I don't understand the key on this.
Yeah.
Being important.
The feet aren't actually the most important part, because you could have the feet. The part that actually counts is the digital manual. It's the step-by-step instructions. The feet themselves don't teach the process. It's actually that digital manual that walks you through. And in that digital manual is actually a pre-test and a post-test. So it actually tells you where your child perceives, or your students, if you're in school, where your students perceive distance to be. And that could be 3 feet, it could be 6 feet, whatever you're using to measure. And then it walks them through this very structured step-by-step step-by-step process. And then at the end, you have post-tests. And there's even a way of doing it post-test if you're doing it every day with a classroom or every week with a classroom. So it's actually more so the digital material, and we are looking at IP security for that as well. But it's heavily based in the digital data that you get out of that. Does that help?
Great. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, great answer. Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you, Megan. Last question, Sean Michaels.
Brian, hi, Michelle.
Hi.
I was just wondering about inventory management. So is this the sort of thing where you've got to run a big run of these feet and then hope you can sell them, or can they be kind of produced on demand, or would that be too expensive that way?
The answer sits in the middle. So actually looking at the 3-year pro forma, we look at doing turnover about 6 times over the course of a year. So it's running about every 2 months. Currently with shipping and the customization and the pack out and getting all the equipment here in hand, it runs about 4 weeks. So we actually have enough that we can keep just around 100 of inventory. So not a huge inventory, but something easily manageable and turn it over 6 times over the course of the year. Is that what you were looking for, Sean?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Judges, it's time to score and put your comments into your digital file. Of course, when you're ready for our next company, please wave obnoxiously and we will get going. And Michelle, thanks so much for bringing Bigfoot social distance trainer to the TechCelerator. I have to say, one of the questions that we hear a lot is, wow, technology, I'm not sure my company is a technology company. And you just saw a great example of a company that isn't doing zeros and ones or websites. It's doing some really advanced technology in the helping students understand social distancing and other distancing in other markets. So absolutely, there's a bunch of technology embedded in what Michelle and the folks are doing at Bigfoot Social Distance. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Brian.
You got it. Thanks for participating. And I believe Cameron Swarza, there's Cameron, and Eric Dudgeon from, here they come, from Sidekick are now available. So once again, once the judges have completed their scoring, if they will wave wildly and obnoxiously, I will see those hands going. Right, Lisa and Sean and Megan, I've lost you somewhere. Are you there? There's Megan. Megan, are we ready? Awesome. All right, our next company comes to us from a little bit south of Erie, outside of Erie County. They're in Grove City, and they're currently students or are about to be graduates of Grove City College. Cameron Swarza and Eric Dudgeon of Sidekick. Gents, take it away.
Okay, is that muted? Good afternoon. My name is Cameron Sorsa, and I'd like to start off by telling you a story about a new podcaster. Meet Katarina. Katarina recently decided to start a podcast because she loves exotic animals. Working full-time at the local zoo, she loves sharing her passion for animals with others. Her friends encouraged her to give podcasting a try, but it wasn't always as easy as they made it seem. As a new podcaster, Katarina had to wear multiple hats. She was the host, the producer, and the marketer for her show. She couldn't afford to hire anyone else for these jobs, and so each week it got harder and harder to get everything done on time for the weekly episode. This process was time-consuming, expensive, and overwhelming, and she wasn't sure how much longer she could keep it up. And Katarina is not alone. There are currently 1.5 million active podcasts today, and 900,000 of them were started in 2020 alone. But the sad truth is that over half of these new shows won't even make it past the 7th episode. This should tell you there's something terribly wrong with the way we've been podcasting, and that it's time for a change. Introducing Sidekick, the platform that gives podcasters superpowers. Sidekick streamlines this podcaster workflow and enables podcasters to collaborate with their team on episodes, to manage tasks and automate the repetitive ones, and to discover experts within our marketplace who can help them grow their show, all saving the podcaster time and money. This is the traditional podcaster workflow. It's complicated, right? Sidekick turns it into a linear process, making it easy for podcasters to schedule with their guests, to use integrated recording and editing tools, import it back into our platform to create marketing pieces like audiograms and subtitled videos, and automatically generated transcripts and social media graphics. These can be used to create draft posts that can be scheduled and reviewed and approved by a team member. Then when the episode day rolls around, everything can get distributed. Traditionally, podcasters have had to pick between either doing everything themselves and all of these activities, or paying hundreds of dollars an episode to outsource everything. Sidekick bridges this divide, making it easy for both podcaster and service provider, so they can save time and money and enabling them to grow. One of the podcast industry experts we spoke with told us that this process he currently lives with is a nightmare, and that he begged us to please do something to streamline this process for him. Our revenue model is twofold: subscriptions and commissions. Podcasters can pick a plan that fits with their posting schedule of number of episodes a month, and each subscription includes all of our platform's features, and every podcaster starts out with a free 1-month trial to try everything. Then they can discover experts within our marketplace, the agencies and freelancers who are providing services, where there's a 10% commission on the sale. In 2021, we'll be focusing on developing our platform. We'll be using our core team and outsourcing the development for API work. By the end of the year, we'll be onboarding users into this public beta, and we will have some revenue, but we'll experience a little bit of a net loss during this time. But we make up for it in 2022, when we start growing at a rate of 200 new trials a month, and we're able to bring on a lead developer along with 6 other employees. In 2023, we're growing at a rate of 500 new trials per month, and we're able to grow to $3.6 million in revenue. To go to market, we'll be launching our own podcast, and we'll be doing traditional content marketing as well as paid advertising. We'll be focusing on developing strategic partnerships within the podcast industry, and we've developed a plan to keep and grow our users, including a strong referral program. Our team started out in 2020 when I helped a podcaster launch their first show. And after doing that, I realized that there was a problem here. And so I brought Eric Dudgeon on to help me launch this agency. And working on episodes week in and week out, we connected with the pains, and this is where Sidekick was born. And we started growing our team. And we were accepted into 2 pre-incubator programs where we've been working to develop our business model and developing this MVP to prepare for the beta testing. Your use of funds can help us accelerate this process, with phase 1 of development being focused on what's needed for the private beta, and phase 2, what's needed for the public beta. We'll also be devoting 10% of the budget towards launching our own podcast and doing content marketing. Join us in our mission to make podcasting easy for everyone and give podcasters superpowers. And contact us if you want to be one of them. Thank you.
Great. Cameron, thank you so much. If you'll take down your slide, we'll start our judges' questionings with Armando Reyes.
If
Armando?
it would be okay to leave the slides up, we do have some exhibit slides if they would be necessary.
Yeah, if we get to those, more than happy to have you put them back up.
Yeah.
Armando?
Can you?
Yeah, so my first question is, are you guys like a one-stop shop for a podcaster? So can I open up your platform, record my episode, and then from there have everything done? Or do I still need to upload my audio from another point? Like, are you just a complete one-stop shop?
So initially, not yet. Initially with this MVP, we're starting off by centralizing the process and connecting tools that podcasters use. But from this starting point, by integrating recording tools, our hope is to actually make it so that we can automatically pull from the popular recording tools, so that when you record with them, that content can come right into the platform and be integrated. And when it comes to the other side of actually producing content, doing the work, you can either use your own team or find experts to help you perform the work.
Great. Thank you, Cameron. Brad Gleason.
Thank you, Cameron. You speak very clearly and a nice job. My question to you is more about recruitment of sales. Are you going after the experienced or frustrated podcaster, or do you have a training component built in anywhere for the amateur who wants to get into podcasting?
Definitely. So initially, it is focused a lot on podcasters that have already started a show. We find that it's easier for someone who has already launched the show to connect with these pains. But as we grow, we'd like to expand more to the new podcaster. And when doing so, really looking at how we can provide coaching at a free level so that when somebody's starting up, they can get some guidance before they're able to afford maybe paid coaching. And from the MVP, we can start doing that by just producing content within our blog and our social media channels.
Thank you, Cameron. And Brad, once again, everyone in the TechCelerator program and Ben Franklin in general appreciates the support of Gannon and the Erie Technology Incubator and everything that you've done. So thank you very much. Let's move on to Megan McKisson, General Partner with McKisson and Company.
Hey guys, great presentation, and yeah, super needed in the marketplace. My only question was, are you being realistic about the advertising in a B2C space on social media? If you could show me.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Oh, just are % of your work's going towards marketing cost? And is that realistic, honestly? I mean, in terms of a social media marketing?
Yeah. So initially, we have accounted for a 50-cent per click cost, and we accounted for a 3% conversion on that, and that goes into our free trials. And so from the free trial, there's a 30% conversion, which means that with the advertising we'd be doing, there'd be a 1% conversion on the dollars we're spending. Where we see the best conversion in the long run is with referrals. And our plan with referrals is to offer podcasters that bring on a new paid subscriber a free episode. And so by doing that, the cost to us is very low, but it has high value to a podcaster who's doing content and has all of these connections with other podcasters.
Great.
I have a referral for you, by the way. Talk later.
Love it.
Oh, good. We'll get you guys connected after. Thank you, Megan. Next up is our multiple exited serial tech entrepreneur, Sean Michaels from Erie. Sean?
Wow, what an intro. Hey, Cameron. Yeah, I like the name Sidekick. That's pretty cool. My question is also cost related. It looks like you don't have a ton of money in the forecast for developing the MVP. Any worries that there could be cost overruns there as you get into the features and stuff?
There's a chance that that could be the case. We have allocated launching this initial MVP on a low-code platform. And so the development that we're needing is primarily around the API connections that are being integrated. And so we have consulted our development advisor, and he believes that within the $12,000 budget, we should be able to bring a product to market that can be revenue generating and get us off the ground.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sean. And finally, the superstar raising the next generation of entrepreneurs down in Hermitage, Lisa Evans. Questions for Sidekick.
Yeah, we actually have a podcast studio in our building, and my students make podcasts. So this interests me a lot. But my question was, are you specifically targeting like who your customer is? Because the people with running podcasts kind of have this set up already. You know, the people that come to use our podcast room that have a following and have a podcast running, they kind of do it. And then the ones who are just starting podcasts have zero money to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using, you know, GarageBand and then Google Podcast or the Sprout one that's free. So
yeah,
I'm not sure exactly who your target customer would be with the ability to pay and need your services. Could you kind of clear that up a little bit?
Absolutely. So our initial target would be the small business owner, the solopreneur, the people that either are trying to do everything themselves or want to be able to outsource some work, but have found some difficulty in that. By empowering podcasters with automations, we enabled them to lower that cost. It was one of the things Eric and I had seen working with podcasters over the past year, that it's difficult because when somebody starts a podcast, they don't have a big budget, but they do have a lot of need and a lack in the initial knowledge and skills of doing a podcast. And so by creating a place for podcasters that they can get started and grow, that's what we're aiming to do. And long term, we would love to be able to create some type of freemium model to compete for that full length.
Great. Thank you, Cameron. And our judges, if you'll go about your scoring and putting your thoughts and notes inside of the digital score sheet, we will get ready for our next company, which is the 6th and final of the cohort here in the virtual TechCelerator Northwest PA. You know, it's really interesting. A number of folks come to us every day and they say, hey, I've got an idea. Do you think it's a good one? And my answer is always, I have no idea if your idea is a good one, because that's not what Ben Franklin does. We don't evaluate whether your idea is any good. We help you build an idea into a company. And a TechCelerator is an example of exactly the way we do that, by working with people over a course of time to take their idea, help refine it, challenge it, look for more opportunities and new opportunities, and then eventually become the companies that you see in front of you today. So if you have an idea or you know someone that has an idea, the easiest thing to do is reach out to us at Ben Franklin Technology Partners. Go to our website, call us, email us, heck, even Twitter us, right? It's really easy to get a hold of us, and we'll certainly sit down with you and talk through what your idea is and whether or not we can help you turn that into a company. Chances are we likely can. So last but not least, and you know what they say about the last? It's the last. And it's been a real pleasure to work with all of our companies. And now it's time to turn the stage over to Tim Vicky. If you will share your screen, Tim. Tim Vicky with Next Chapters. Tim, it's all yours.
Sounds good. Hopefully everyone can see my screen, my presentation.
If you'll go ahead and go full screen with that, Tim. Right now we're in the slide mode.
Yep, I'm trying to get started. Okay, there you go.
There you go.
And Brian, I wanted to thank you and Roger for the past 10 weeks and everyone at Ben Franklin. And also, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to everyone, all my friends who are in the audience. It's great to see you. Great to have you here today. So hi, everyone. My name's Tim Vicky, and I'm the founder of Next Chapter Stories. So I wanted to start out this conversation by telling you a story about my mother. My whole life, Mom had a dream. She wanted to be a published novelist. When she could, she was working on her outline, scribbling notes about her plot. She was constantly thinking about how her story should progress. Unfortunately, Mom's book never came to be. She worked full-time as a software engineer, raised 6 kids. When Mom passed away, her dream of being published ended unfulfilled. You might have the same dream. You have a story inside you that needs to be told. Plenty of people have a bucket list item of writing a novel. Most people leave this goal unfulfilled. So if it's critically important to them, why do people end up like my mother? Why don't people write their story? They could be suffering from writer's block, having trouble actually putting words to paper and completing a novel. My mom's problem was that she couldn't find the time. Traffic, the boss, family. Writing a book takes significant time that people don't have in today's world. A third reason could be that the person feels overwhelmed by the process. They're struggling to get their book written down and are tossed a ton of other obstacles. An editor to review the book, cover design, an agent, publishing, marketing. So to help people like my mom achieve their dream to write a novel, we started Next Chapters. Next Chapters is an online platform built to assist potential authors by crowdsourcing the writing of full novels. We use a freemium plus model, Signing up is free, and there's plenty of add-on services and tools to help write and finish a story, either alone if they desire, or on a crowd-based novel. Once a story is finished, either by the group or the individual, we can publish and sell good quality books created on the platform. Then we're going to share the profits with all the authors, so everyone wins. Who would want something like Next Chapters? We think a lot of people. According to author Joseph Epstein, 81% of Americans feel they have a book in them. That's 265 million people in the US. If we say only 1 out of every 10,000 of these individuals are really ready to move on their dreams right now, that's more than 25,000 people who actively have a goal of writing a novel and are looking for our help. These are people like my mom. I bet you're thinking, that sounds great, but there's already a lot of writing help out there. Well, honestly, we are pretty unique since our approach is to help authors from start to end, plus make the challenge achievable and fun. Everyone else focuses on just pushing authors through the current difficult processes of both writing and publishing with little guidance. No one offers tools from start to end, helping regular people like Next Chapter does through community-based novel writing. Other companies might help with writing, but not the publishing or marketing or sales aspects. And nobody at all pays authors for contributing to a good quality crowd-based novel. That makes us unique in the marketplace, and I think positions us to be a success for people who dream of being published, like my mom. So beyond the novels created on the platform, which we can sell to the public both online and in brick and mortar stores, what else are we going to sell? Like I mentioned before, membership on the Next Chapters platform is free. You can sign up, find a crowd-based work in progress, submit a chapter, get published, and receive payment for book sales without paying us a cent. It's been proven that writers who are currently moving towards publishing their book will spend money to push their dream across the finish line. I know this firsthand because we're already making sales to the writers who are beta testing our system. That's right, we're already making sales on our platform right now. To supplement our empirical evidence, a 2017 study conducted by Written Word Media, a boutique book marketing company, suggested that more than half of authors that believe their book can be published spent money on book cover illustration, about 3/4 hired an editor or proofreader or coach, half paid for marketing and sales planning, and 3 out of 4 writers confident their book was worthwhile paid at least $2,500 to self-publish. We can and will offer these services and more to our writers, and these tools will allow us to generate good quality crowdsourced novels for sale. If we meet our goal of 1,500 authors this year and remain on track to have 10 books created by summer 2022, which is achievable and realistic based on our testing and customer surveys, we should generate about $70,000 from platform services and sales in 2021. Projecting this out over the next 3 years, we have the potential of selling $4.6 million worth of books to the public and services to writers, resulting in $512,000 in net income in 2023. This will enable us to continue to grow and help more and more people get their story written and published, like my mom would have wanted. So who are the people behind Next Chapters? Trying to get people to become storytellers and write books? Well, there's me, Tim Vicky, founder of Next Chapters. I've contracted with a programming team and marketing consultant up to this point to bring our company to where we are today. I'm starting to look for our first actual employee who would be tasked with writing, recruiting, and assisting our community of authors. But employees aren't cheap, which is why I'm here today. What do we hope to achieve from the TechCelerator? First off, the financial help that Ben Franklin provides. Winning the $10,000 prize would go a long way towards paying for that first employee here in Erie. Also, continued access to your transformations team. I've been lucky to have access to the counseling provided through the TechCelerator, and many will agree it's been game-changing for Next Chapter's development. Finally, being part of the Ben Franklin Network opens so many doors for startups. Ben Franklin can give companies a huge advantage during the difficult launch process. So I'd like to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity of sharing my vision of Next Chapters with you. I'm certain we can help plenty of people and make sure their dreams don't end up like my mom's as we enable them to write and publish their story.
Awesome. Tim, thank you again for all of your time and effort that you put into this program and to really bringing Next Chapters forward. I don't know if you'll be surprised, but there are 2 people in the chat room who are already experienced with NaNoWriMo, and they both are now fans of Next Chapter. So expect a couple of future authors to come your way.
Well, hopefully they finish NaNoWriMo.
Right. Well, we'll find
And
out.
if not, they can
Why
bring
don't
it
we
to
start
next
off
session.
with-
We'll publish a story for them.
Why don't we start off with some questions from our tech expert, Sean Michaels.
Thanks, Brian. Hey, Tim. So this is really cool. I was just wondering, are there other crowdsourced platforms out there for writing books, or is this kind of a new thing?
It is kind of a new thing. It's a new avenue to go towards a current market. You know, there's the challenge of writing books. Now there are pseudo crowdsourcing things. Signal Magazine did a contest to finish they found a book written by Louisa May Alcott, and they had a contest to crowdsource the final chapter of it. There's also NaNoWriMo, which is, if for the people who don't know about NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo. You commit for the month of November to write a 10,000 page novel. You do it kind of in a community. I've participated here in Erie a bunch of times, and the Erie people get together and they write their own books. So it's not one novel that's written, it's just everyone kind of crowdsourcing the efforts to get a novel written.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Tim. And thank you very much, Sean. Next up is Lisa Evans from the E-Center and the E-Academy.
All right, so I was thinking about this while you were talking. So if I started a book, anyone could finish it. Anyone could write a chapter. Like Tim, you could do a chapter. What if I didn't like that chapter?
So
could I edit it, or how does that work?
So we do have, so one of the things that's very important to us is encouraging the artistic value of someone writing. If you are writing a crowd-based novel, anyone can submit chapter 2, anybody who is on the platform.
Okay.
You don't have to accept it. Since you are the person who's editing it, if someone comes in and just writes, this is very, 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 very nice, you can reject. But we do want to encourage writers because they turn into future customers. So the person who gets rejected then gets a note from us saying, your chapter wasn't chosen. Do you want to continue this book on your own? You can edit it and use your chapter 2. Then we have 2 books to sell.
I see. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. Armando Reyes, questions from Lake Erie Woodworks.
So my question would be, what kind of categories? I hear you keep saying novel. What if I wanted to write a cookbook or an educational book? Is that something that people can have done too, or is this like a nonfiction, fiction type thing?
Actually, so you can do that. There's different types of novels or different types of books. A novel is usually, chapter 1, 2, 3. Technical books are more free form. You just put things in a certain order. You can use the process to write technical books, biographies. We even think we might be able to spin out like screenwriting and graphic novels sometime in the near future. It's not on the platform now. You can't write a graphic novel on our site. But I think we have an idea where you could. So yes, we want to open it up to everything. And, we're adjusting the platform where needed to make sure that that type of book is included.
Great. Thank you very much. Brad Gleason from the Erie Technology Incubator.
Hi, Tim. I first had a question designed around your membership retention, because crowdsourcing is a challenge to keep interest in membership. But I'm going to flip it and ask more about your coaching, because I see in one of your slides you were talking about writing coaching, and in your financials you talk about coaching revenue. Does that coaching expand beyond writing? What kind of are you coaching on about how to use your platform? Or are you coaching on just tradecraft and writing? What is your coaching revenue designed around?
So the coaching revenue is mostly to teach people how to write. Hopefully, when people are coming to use the Next Chapter platform, all the FAQs and the videos and the instructions that are there will help people know how to write a chapter. But the coaching category is to help you write a novel. It's novel writing coaching. It could be, honestly, if someone comes up to us and says, we want to pay you $3,000 to learn how to use your platform, I'm not going to say no. But the coaching line item that you see is novel writing coaching, yes.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And last question of the day is Megan McKisson. Megan?
Hi. Thank you, Tim. I'm just a little confused on your revenue model. How are you making money? And are you selling the books on the back end? Obviously, there's a subscription, it sounds like, involved. Like, how does this, I'm not real clear on that.
So when you submit a chapter to Next Chapters, you sign an agreement with us, letting us sell your book. If you look at our financials, we make money off of, and we more than break even. We have a small but decent profit off of services provided, but a huge proportion of our profits is from selling books. So what we do is, you submit the book, you go through the process, you finish it. If it's an awesome novel, we will print it, and we have a print on demand service that's available. So I don't have to have stacks of books in my garage, but we make money off of selling the books on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, in brick and mortar stores if people want, Kindle accessible, however, and then the services as well, which makes a profit for the company.
Great. Tim, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, that now concludes the presentation portion of our program today. However, there is a lot more excitement to come. So if the judges will first score Next Chapters and put their comments in their sheet, once you wave wildly at us, the judges and our head coach, Roger Dagan, will go into a secure, undisclosed location somewhere in Zoom World, and they will then begin to deliberate. But don't head anywhere now, because we've got all kinds of very exciting things about to happen. First, as soon as the judges depart, we'll be conducting the People's Choice Award voting. So everyone in the Zoom room will get a chance to vote, one vote per person, for their favorite company. And we will be awarding $1,000 to the People's Choice here in just a little bit. Then we're going to do a little interview session. We have some really very special guests who have made their way back from their business to spend a bit of time with us today. I'm super excited to introduce you all to them again, and they'll be coming up here in just a little bit. And then finally, we'll continue on. We have some additional questions that we have reserved and ready for all of the companies. We do have some chat questions that have come out of the chat room. We'll be asking some of that. So we've got another pretty exciting few minutes. Count on 20 to 25 minutes or so before we all come back and see who the winners are. So if our judges are ready to depart to their deliberations room with Roger, Julie, go ahead and do that. And then everyone else just hang on for just a second. All right, so the judges are gone. It almost feels like when your parents leave for New Year's Eve and it's just you and your, and your brothers and sisters. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're going to start the People's Choice voting. So if, Julie, if you will fire up the People's Choice. So everyone, you get one vote per company. Go ahead and start your voting now. All right, we are getting votes. Ooh, there are a couple of companies really close. We have almost a tie going on across all the companies. This is great. I know that you can't see the results, but Julie and I can, and Heidi can. And this is pretty exciting to see which companies are in the lead. We've got about 90 votes of a possible 109 votes. So we'll give it another 30 or so seconds, and then we will cut off the voting. All right, someone is starting to make their way into the lead. This is pretty exciting stuff. This is great. All right, we're gonna close the voting. Well, hold on for a second. We see some more votes coming in. So appreciate everyone coming in for the People's Choice and for the whole program. I've gotten numerous comments in the chat room about these companies are spectacular. I do not envy the judges. And I'm like, yeah, exactly right. The judges have a very difficult job ahead of them over the next 30 minutes or so. So we still have about another 15 or so folks left to vote. We'll keep the voting open for another 15 or 20 seconds. So go ahead and complete your People's Choice voting. And while you're doing that, wow, we really have two young men, two young entrepreneurs, two really innovative folks who I was fortunate enough to meet almost 2 years ago. Sometimes it takes a bit to go from an idea to a company. We talked about that earlier. And we've been super impressed with all of them, what they've done in the past 2 years. So Julie, in about 10 seconds, why don't we close the polling? I think we've got that People's Choice Award selected, and then we will go from there. So in about 5 seconds, Julie, if you'll close that, and then I'd like to introduce you all, and really, really impressed with these two young men. All right, People's Choice is now closed, and thanks to everyone for voting. So it's a real pleasure to introduce to you two young men who started off 2 years ago with simply an idea. And Kathy Von Berglund, who runs the Ben Franklin eMarketing Learning Center, and I met them about 2 years ago when we went down to the Edinburgh node on the Innovation Beehive and presented this revolutionary new program for Northwest PA called the TechCelerator. And they were there, they heard our presentation, they applied and were selected, and now they've taken the journey and they're full-fledged, fully funded, fully invested in companies in our portfolio. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure to introduce to you Hunter Klobuchar and Tyler Waltenbaugh, founders of Fish Gods. Round of applause for Tyler and Hunter. Thanks for coming by, guys.
Thanks for having us, Brian. Thanks for the introduction.
Absolutely. So Tyler and Hunter, tell us a little bit about your journey. How did this all start? And before you do that, tell us what the core of the idea is, and then tell us how this all started.
Sure. So if you look behind me, I've put the bag kind of on my back. I don't know. Can you see that? Is it clear and everything?
Yeah, we can see it.
So that is the Clean Earth bag. Basically, we've designed a product for outdoor enthusiasts to pick up, contain, and recycle plastic waste when they're in the outdoors. So whether you're a hiker, a biker, a fisherman, whatever you're doing in the outdoors, this bag can go with you. It's collapsible, it's reusable, it's durable, it's drainable, it could be submerged in the water, in the mud. It could really go absolutely anywhere. As a product, we are an outdoor company raising money through the sale of our retail products to give back into the environment, to protect our fisheries, our waterways, and to help mitigate the effects of plastic pollution in our freshwater systems. That is the core of Fish Gods.
And how did you come up with this idea? What's the genesis of all of this? Why are we here today, and why are you growing this great company?
Yeah, so we came up with the idea of our company when Tyler and I were fortunate enough to go on a research trip with Trout Unlimited for 3 weeks, traveling across the state of Pennsylvania. And on this trip, we just saw plastic pollution in the most remote streams and lakes of Pennsylvania. Not really hit home to us. So when we got back to Erie, we did some digging around, and then we found out that the Great Lakes and Lake Erie is really devastated by plastic pollution. Each year, around 22 million pounds of plastic enter the Great Lakes, and that's just an enormous number, and we knew we needed to take action. So we came up with the idea of the Clean Earth bag and Fish Gods. And it just so happened that Tyler and I were in a class together at Edinburgh University. And Ryan sent an email to our professor, I do believe, about the Ben Franklin Big Idea Contest. And we thought, well, we have this idea to change the world. We might as well apply and submit our idea and see what happens. Needless to say, we didn't get into the Big Idea Contest, but Brian and Kathy set us aside and said, we think you guys really have something good here. You're a top contender for the Big Idea, but we want you to enter the Tech Accelerator program. We think you have a good shot of, being a contestant. So we did that in the summer of 2019, went through the 10-week course, and it was just absolutely life-changing. We went from an idea to a concept with a prototype in our hand when we exited out of the Tech Accelerator. And then from there, we hit the ground running with Ben Franklin. And something that really stuck with me, Brian said when we left, and you said in your pitch today, once you are in the Ben Franklin family, you are family, and there's no going back. Ben Franklin, as soon as we were accepted into the program, has been our biggest support line for Fish Gods in our development.
Great. Well, it's certainly been an honor and our pleasure, and we're really excited to head off on this great journey with you. So you go through the TechCelerator program, and oh, by the way, you're being a little modest. You were the grand prize winners in 2019. So you walked away with that. And then you came back a little bit later and you needed a little bit more money to do specifically what?
So what we did, so yes, as Brian said, we did win the TechCelerator, came back for some cash. You guys gave it to us, which was awesome. But we used that cash for a Kickstarter. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with what Kickstarter is on this group, the crowdfunding platform. We went live this recent November, and we launched our 30-day Kickstarter campaign. Our goal was to raise $15,000. We beat our goal. We raised $21,000 in 30 days. Pretty much through word of mouth, through Erie, through our university, spreading the word, spreading the good news of Fish Gods. And we were, a successful Kickstarter story, which doesn't always happen. We're super pumped. We got that money, and now we just finished manufacturing the bag behind me, and it is being shipped to us from our manufacturer. It arrives in hopefully the next 2 weeks. We sold to 17 different countries, I think 39 different states, and we're launching a full marketing sales funnel for our company here in April. We're going live, e-commerce sales. We're looking at retail partnerships. It's happening. So we were where these contestants were just 2 years ago, and now we are, fast forward, we are ready to rock and roll, as you say. In just a couple weeks, we do go live, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and we're obviously all very excited. So you successfully fund the Kickstarter campaign, but you did something that was kind of unique. You didn't just buy enough bags to fulfill Kickstarter. You actually did something over and above. What did you do, and why did you do that?
So what we did was we raised $21,000. So we had a surplus of what our goal was, of course. What we did strategically was we stretched every dollar that we had from the Kickstarter, and we ordered I guess more of our bags in bulk from our manufacturer. So now that we had, I think we had 1,000 product minimum order. I think we bumped it up a couple hundred. Now we have a surplus of 500 to sell and deliver. Is that what you're asking, Brian?
Yeah, and yeah. You did that for a very strategic financial reason. Rather than selling everything through Kickstarter, what did you learn, and how did you leverage that?
Yeah, so for anybody that's actually looking to do a Kickstarter and crowdfunding, Kickstarter is phenomenal, but it's horrible for margins. They take a lot of money. You have a campaign manager. There's fees everywhere, so you actually lose quite a bit of money per sale. When you're all said and done with it, you don't come out with a lot of money on Kickstarter, and we knew that going in. But it is a fantastic marketing ploy. it is absolutely great for getting your word out. But you know what we did towards the end of it, once we hit our goal, we slowed down on the marketing. We kind of put a cap on it, and we fizzled the Kickstarter out, because the Kickstarter customers were getting the bag for, I think, like 35% off plus their fees. And now we'll be able to sell the bag full retail price. We'll get a lot more margins on each bag, for, another 500 bags, of a lot more money to then put into another PO, for another round of hopefully 1,500 bags. So it was just a strategic long-term play, to make 5 times the amount of money on the amount of bags that we would have had, just pushing them out the Kickstarter way.
Awesome. So we're going to open up the microphone in just a little bit to any of the cohort companies to ask you some questions related to your experience with the TechCelerator and Franklin and kind of where you're going now. But before we get to that, so they can start thinking up their questions, before we get to that, you've now got a product. You're working through sales channels. You're starting to go to market really aggressively in the B2B and B2B2C market. Tell us what happened this past Tuesday and why that's a big deal for the future of the company.
So this past Tuesday, we officially are a true portfolio company of Ben Franklin. We got the funding for the next 15 months. So that is ginormous for Fish Gods. We've gone through grants, we've gone through, the smaller steps of funding, but now with this full on investment through Ben Franklin, we are able to launch marketing for our company for the first time in Fish Gods history, and not just worry about word of mouth, the local, the power of local media. So we have marketing for a year. We hired a content creator for a year. We hired a design engineer for a year to work on Fish Gods products. We have an intern that we're just getting from Penn State. We have all types of employees that we can pay for their services. We can do research and development. We have money for cleanups. We have money. That's, when it comes down to it, we have money now from Ben Franklin to make Fish Gods happen. And Hunter and I have talked about it a million times. Without Ben Franklin, we would not be here. And now that we are a secured portfolio member in Ben Franklin, the sky's the limit now. So it's a true opportunity to get our presence in the target market we're shooting for.
And so literally you and Hunter were literally in the exact same spot as these companies are today, those graduates of the TechCelerator company looking at the road ahead. 2 or 3 pieces of guidance, advice, and then we'll open it up to the cohort to ask their questions. But what are the couple of things that you would say, boy, that was really important to us, or that's something that these cohort companies really need to focus on?
I think for myself, one of the most important pieces of advice I can offer is, don't be afraid to fail and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I remember going through this program, and I have no business background through school of any kind. I'm an environmental geology major. And I just remember being thrown through the TechCelerator program and just putting myself out there, really challenging myself to learn new things, understand business, listen to my coaches and mentors and the advice that they have. And I wasn't afraid to be wrong or fail or change my ideas and pivot. And I can, honestly say by going through this program with that attitude, it's definitely changed my life. And it's really brought me to new skill levels and to meet new people and really grow as a person, grow my business. And it's all because I was willing to fail, put myself out there, and not be afraid to be wrong. So I think that's the biggest piece of advice I'd like to give.
Great advice. Tyler?
Yeah, like Hunter said, not being afraid to fail is huge. But also utilizing resources and reaching out to people. I don't know where everybody stands with their entrepreneur, journey. But if you don't reach out to all the resources at hand, you won't get anywhere. When I started 3 years ago on this journey, I thought I had all the answers. I relied a lot on myself, my knowledge to get me through. But as soon as you start taking big steps into the business journey, and you start realizing you don't have all the answers and you need a lot of help, but Ben Franklin has all the help you need. And I could tell you with confidence, if they do not have the answer or the resources, they will find you the answer or the person to get you that resource. I can't tell you how many times we reached out to Brian saying, hey, we're looking for an apparel company. Hey, we're looking to get into Dick's Sporting Goods. Hey, we need to get into here, into there. And Brian has the connections, or Kathy, or Roger, or somebody at Ben Franklin can lead you to the water, I think, every time. And like Brian said at the beginning of this whole thing, it's about being part of Ben Franklin family. And I think for when you leave this evening, don't worry about if you didn't win the money. The money is not the most important thing about tonight. It is about continuing on this journey with Ben Franklin. If you stick with Ben Franklin, if you stick in this community, if you reach out to everybody in here, you 100% will succeed, because you will not find this type of community and access to resources anywhere else. It's just simply not there. This is such a good family.
Great. Tyler, thank you so much. And Hunter, why don't I throw it open to any of the cohort companies that might want to ask a question of the founders of Fish Gods, Tyler Waltenbaugh and Hunter Klobuchar. Go ahead and open up your mic and feel free to ask any question that you have about their experience in the TechCelerator, things that they now know that they maybe didn't know. Go, just fire off. Sarah, go ahead.
You spoke of failure. Can you give us an example of where you experienced failure and what did you learn from it?
Very good question. And failure is all around you as you go through the entrepreneurial journey. And so are roadblocks. And as you go through these steps, you'll just find these failures and these roadblocks that you need to overcome. You just need to realize that as the quicker you fail, the sooner you can find the solution to what you're trying to solve. So, for example, for us, I remember going through the prototype phase early on with Ben Franklin and Penn State Barron, and we just had an idea on paper, and we had to constantly change that prototype and pivot to what it is today. We were looking at a bunch of different options, reaching out to people. We really hit a dead end, and we felt like, man, like maybe this clean earth bag idea at that point, it was just, we didn't even have a name for it, isn't the right direction for Fish Gods. And then we just continued to push forward. And then you can see we ended up getting an actual solid prototype. And from there, we're like, well, this is something that we can work with. And as you can see behind you, we went from that first prototype to the bag behind you. That's, exactly what we envisioned. And just because we kept going on is the reason that we got there.
Yeah, I agree with Hunter. Like, there's a word, and I think when we were in the TechCelerator, I think we had a course on it, or Brian brought it up, or it's just pivoting in general. Pivoting specifically to your next move is so important about failing. We fail all the time. We fail every single week. We launched a business during a pandemic. Like, we launched our Kickstarter during one of the most tough presidential campaigns and elections to watch. Our company, our advertising, our marketing, and our Kickstarter was live during the presidential election, and we got shut down on every ad we put out on media. We got shut down on anything environmental that we put on the internet. And we're an environmental company trying to start for the very first time. So, we failed since the moment we started, but you have to take that failure, like Hunter said, and immediately pivot, or you're done. Because if you don't pivot off of a failure, then it's going to snowball into an unfavorable outcome. And the way we've been able to pivot, I think, is the reason we're here. We wanted to have our bags to our customers at the end of March, but COVID, we're pushed out till middle of April now. So we're failing all the time. You take it with grace, you take the punches and you pivot.
So quick, I'd like you to share a quick story, and then we'll, I think Michelle had a question. The three of us are sitting in my office downstairs at Knowledge Park, and we were going over branding and go-to-market and all of that. And I told you guys something that you ultimately rejected doing. And basically it was this name, I hate it.
Right.
Tell us the story of how you can get advice and get guidance, but at the end of the day, it's your company. Tell everyone that story.
I guess I'll start the story.
Yeah, go for
Tyler,
it.
you can pick it up. So I remember Brian telling us that, and at this point, we're fresh into this idea, and Brian was like, guys, I don't like your name. I think you could appeal to more markets if you would change it. So, we kind of pondered on the idea for a few weeks. I think we called up Brian, had a crazy epiphany meeting with him. We're changing our name to One Coast, I think it was. And Brian loved it. He was all about it. And then I think a week later, we emailed him and said, you know what, Brian, we changed our mind again. Like, Fish Gods is it, and we're sticking with it. Because we were getting a lot of advice. People were like, I really like the name. And then we were like, we got to stick to our roots and what we believe in. And
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I think the message that comes out of that is, as CEOs, as founders of startups, you're going to get a ton of information, a lot of incoming information. And your number one job is to filter signal from noise, right? Everything you hear will not actually make it to the end of the day. And that's where you guys, knowing who you are and knowing what this market is and really understanding at your core what the mission is for your company. Obviously, Fish Gods is caught on and is doing very well. So I love that story. I tell it all the time. Michelle, you had a question, or I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, I just had a question. So first of all, my take home was don't listen to anything Brian says. Sounds like.
No.
No, my question is actually this. Is there anything that you guys did through this past year or plus that you'd go back and say, if I could go back in time and just tweak that a little bit, life would have been a lot easier? And then my second half of the question is, having a product that you're trying to do a lot of education about in the marketing. So it's an education and marketing component. Any advice or hints or pearls of wisdom?
I think, oh man, that's a really good question. But changing what we would do, if you're in the manufacturing business, I'm sorry, my screen just died. If you're in the manufacturing, not business, but if you're looking to get a product made, if there's supply chain, that sort of thing. For me, this is my answer. Now, I could go on about a more holistic answer, but very specifically, business to business, the manufacturing, supply chain, bringing products in, making products, having them designed, engineered, that's a whole thing in itself. And if that's not, and I know you're making, you have like the footprints and everything like that. So I'm not sure where they're made. I'm not sure how you get them or how easy that is. But if you can bring somebody in to maybe help you on that journey, maybe a business liaison between yourself and the manufacturer, supplier, making sure that they're meeting your demands, deadlines, you're communicating well with them. That was a huge road bump we've had. Getting our product to market, from the manufacturing standpoint has been extremely hard. Language barriers, communication, many revisions. That's been tough for us, and we slept on it. We went on this Kickstarter. We said, oh, we'll get the money. Once it's there, we'll give them our idea. They'll make it. We'll get it maybe once or twice, revisions, and it'll be done. It's not like that. For us, it wasn't like that. And it was a very big learning curve. And that's kind of where our design engineer that we hired now, he's our liaison between ourselves, Fish Gods, and our products. From here on out, we don't deal with it. He takes the headache. But that's my number one answer of what kicked us in the butt for 2020.
I actually appreciate that. I did do an independent contractor, and I'm glad I made that decision. Thank you.
Yeah, good for you. That's awesome.
Any other questions from members of the cohort? Tim or Cameron, Mitch, the team at Nitrous Sky? Anyone else?
Yeah, I had a quick question. You guys were talking about Kickstarter quite a bit, and I think you said that it was more beneficial for marketing than financial reasons. Is that, by the way you were mentioning that, was that kind of like the biggest awareness booster for you, or publicity booster? Was it Kickstarter that really kind of helped you guys get your footing, or how was that?
Yeah, we strategically used Kickstarter as our platform that was kicking us off. So looking back at it, I think we could have done it without Kickstarter. We could have probably took that budget, put a legitimate marketing team behind our message, behind our video, and sold the product. But when you think about it, we didn't have the money to go to manufacturing to get the bags. But if you're asking, is it more marketing? It can be. It depends what you're selling. It depends on the type of product you're trying to bring to market, because if there's not a lot of capital needed for it, Kickstarter might be beautiful for you. You might be able to reach a ton of people. Just know, like, marketing dollars behind Kickstarter are very expensive. And as a startup company, if you don't have that money to put behind the marketing, your Kickstarter could fail. We were successful because of the power of local media. We didn't have marketing. Like I said, we ran our campaign during the presidential election. So marketing dollars were 3 times what they should have cost. We were getting shut down left and right. But the Erie News, Ben Franklin, Edinburgh University, Pittsburgh, just the power of sharing the message got us success. So take that as you will, but that was our story for Kickstarter.
Thanks.
So I'm watching the text messages go back and forth between the judges' room, Roger primarily, and Julie Bratton, and they are having a heck of a time trying to figure out who the winner is or winners are. So yeah, they're having a heck of a time in there. So this may stretch out for just a little bit.
Cool.
So appreciate your patience, everyone. We do know one thing, and that is that all 6 companies are graduates of the Ben Franklin Virtual TechCelerator program. So yippee-i-o, right? Now you have your Tuesdays back. So congratulations to getting there. And we all do know, wow, there is just no consensus going on in the room. That's crazy. So we do know we have a People's Choice Award winner, and we will be announcing that here in just a little bit. So why don't I ask a couple of questions of any of the cohort company that chooses to answer them. One of the things I'd really like to understand, this is open to anybody, and we'll come back to Tyler and Hunter in just a bit, but name 2 people not associated with your startup that are 1,000% supportive of what you're doing, and share with us how they demonstrate that support to you. Open question for anyone who cares to. I'm going to pick on someone. Tim Vicky, would you tell us who's really in your corner and how do they demonstrate that they are?
Well, I mean, obviously my number one person was in my presentation. My mom's story really was part of the inspiration for me starting this. That's what made me want to be a writer. That's what made me realize when I had all these books that are done, I don't want to be like my mom and always never finish my book. So definitely my mom, my family is one of the supporters. Honestly, I'm in a unique situation because my company is about being artistic and writing. My one friend I would always go to Renaissance Festival with. I mean, she just loved the idea from the start. You know, she was chomping on some big like turkey leg and just saying, I love that idea. She was probably the first person, it's one thing to say, I have a business idea. I want to do X, Y, and Z. And people look at it and say, oh, okay. She was the first person years ago to say, you're going to get rich off this. And it was just that kind of encouragement really helps out getting out the door.
That's great, Tim. Thank you. Melanie, would you mind sharing us who's really supporting you and who's back there 1,000%?
Sure, absolutely. So, well, people who are not on the team. So through customer discovery, we found a few key players, if you will, one of which being somebody who has lived and has felt the pain of these resorts getting, or accommodations, maybe receiving one or two bad reviews, and it really putting a ding on their bottom line. And then the second would be the traveler, right? So all of the customers, or potential end users that we've talked to, saying, yeah, when I was on vacation last year, I really wanted to rent a boat, but we only had 2 people in our group, so we needed the additional 2 other people to rent it. So I don't have 2 specific ones, Brian, but customer discovery through this process is really honed in on kind of the pain points, if you will, of the potential consumers.
Perfect. Mitch, I happened to see, I don't know if it was a Twitter message or a Facebook message, and you have a whole bunch of Clarks out there, probably in the room right now, who are very supportive. Can you tell us a bit about your connections and your family and the support they've been providing?
Yeah, I mean, my family and friends always been extremely helpful and supportive, which I appreciate them joining and them voting for us, presumably too. But aside from for other people in our corner, I mean, the family and friends part, of course. I mean, our very first customers that were ran pharmacies in Erie, believe it or not, were actually supportive and not necessarily just contracting us, because when they first reached out to us, they kind of wanted to know, they could tell that we were a newer business and wanted to know what we were up to and wanted to learn more about it, and have been really flexible since the start. So that's been really great to see also.
Fantastic. I really want to thank our special guests, Tyler and Hunter from Fish Gods. Their website is fishgods.co, and you can go and get your very own Fish Gods bag, or 5 of them if you want. I'm really excited to get my fish bags when they get delivered and start sharing those, Fish Gods Clean Earth bag, and start sharing those and using those on my cycling and hiking and kayaking and all of that trips. And really looking forward to more great work from Tyler and Hunter. So gents, thanks so much for coming and being our special guest today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having us, Brian. We really appreciate it. It's cool, like we talked about, coming back full circle and being on one of these special nights. So thanks for having us.
You got it.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, and congratulations everyone for graduating and going through the TechCelerator program.
Very cool. So I see that our judges are returning, and that means we have a winner. I was double checking to see if we have 2 winners. We have a winner, and Brad Gleason, just as a heads up, Julie Bratton is going to be chatting you some information here in just a second. So as the judges come back, and before we get to the announcement of the winners from the People's Choice Award and the Judges' Choices Award, can I get our judges to maybe raise their hands or just open their microphones? Tell us a little bit about your deliberations. You don't announce who the winner is or who the losers are, whatever. Not that they're losers, but the people who didn't win. Don't announce anything, but tell us a little bit about your experience with the TechCelerator, with the companies, what you learned, what you saw. Any comments, anything that you'd like to share with everyone certainly is welcomed.
I would just like to say congratulations to everybody who was here. There's a lot of work involved in starting a company and having an idea. there's a lot of sleepless nights and long days, and I appreciate all the work that you're putting in so far. And I just wanted to say, keep up the good work no matter what happens.
Awesome, Armando. Thank you so much. Brad, Sean, Lisa, Megan, thoughts about, you guys were in there for a long time. How are things going?
I got to tell you, I worry about groupthink where, everyone just quickly makes one decision. That was not the case with our group. So many good candidates, an awful lot of really good decision making that had to go on to determine finalists. So congratulations again, just like Armando said, there's so many great companies to think about that it took the full time and it took a lot of deliberation that reflects on all the great companies.
Awesome, Brad. Thank you so much. Megan, you had a comment to make.
Passionate and bossy. I appreciate the other judges tolerating me. But seriously, everyone did such a good job. It's really easy to like pick apart and evaluate this on the other side. I know how much work and how much effort and how, it's really intense, and you guys all did really well. I'm really proud of you. And again, thank you, other judges.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan. Lisa and Sean.
Yeah. So from the planning perspective, I thought it would be fun to be a judge, and it is fun to be a judge, but it's also really hard because the companies are so different. It's difficult to judge them beside each other because they live in very different industries and very different spaces. So to put them right next to each other was really difficult, and you all did really well. And to put it on a rubric, was hard to do, which is why it took us so long, but very well done, all of you. Nice job.
Thank you, Lisa.
I'm still on my Zoom.
You've had a
But
lot
should
of,
be winding down
Heidi,
here
you're off.
momentarily.
Heidi, go on mute, please. Sean, you've been around a lot of startups. You've had a whole bunch of startups. What's your thoughts on the companies that you saw today and all of that?
Hats off to everybody, to all the entrepreneurs. I know how hard this is. I mean, you're putting yourselves out there, your heart and soul, your idea, and we're sitting in front of you judging it. So everybody did a great job, and I really appreciate the passion that everybody's putting into their companies. I will say that the deliberations were difficult. We had spirited debate and questions and back and forth. There was no clear, this is the answer. So, I think that just speaks to the great job that all of the entrepreneurs did. And I just want to recognize that.
Awesome. So on behalf of Ben Franklin and the virtual TechCelerator, to all of our judges, thank you so much. I'd like to throw it to my colleague, Roger Dagan, who has been our head coach through this entire virtual TechCelerator at Northwest PA. Roger, thoughts, comments, overall impressions, and anything you'd like to share with everyone before we get to the People's Choice Award?
Sure, thank you. The thing that impresses me and amazes me in every one of these TechCelerators that I've been a part of is the path, the progress, the improvement from week zero. We actually have a week zero that we start the program off with. From there to now, week 10, is amazing. The companies learn so much from this one particular act that we strongly encourage them to partake in, and that's customer discovery. It's sort of the foundation of learning about your marketplace and learning what the customers really want and what their problems are really. And so I'm just amazed and impressed every time to see the progress, the learning that happens. So that's very gratifying to me.
And by a show of hands of the current cohort, and even Tyler and Hunter, who thinks Roger Dagan is the best head coach for a TechCelerator in the history of forever? I think so, right? Roger, it's been a ton of fun to work with you every week. I will miss that part of our relationship, but I know that we're working with other portfolio companies together on other things. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Before we go to announcing who the People's Choice Award, I just want to once again thank our great sponsors and supporters from the Gannon Small Business Development Center and Maggie Horn and her amazingly talented team with Shane and Jacob and so many folks. Our partners at ECRA who have continued to be supportive of all of the things that we do to invest in innovation. Of course, our home at Knowledge Park, where we're officed at the offices of Penn State, Erie, the Barron College, just off campus. And then finally, our Gannon Erie Technology Incubator, who's a sponsor of the People's Choice Awards. So with that as a lead up, I'd like to welcome and introduce again, Mr. Brad Gleason, who is the Director of Entrepreneurial Operations at Gannon, who will announce the Erie Technology Incubator sponsored People's Choice Award.
Thank you, Brian. It's been just quite a year for everybody with COVID and the necessary social distancing. Nobody's been hit more than families and small business. So it says a lot that Ben Franklin, being a leader in the state of Pennsylvania and supporting small businesses out doing accelerator work, getting businesses out there and developing jobs and new revenue into our state. So congratulations to Ben Franklin for taking the lead and enduring during these times. And as a people and as a community coming together today, it's fitting obviously to then move on to the People's Choice Award, which this year is going to Bigfoot Social Distancing. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Michelle. We're all very excited, Michelle. So the People's Choice Award is literally the People's Choice Award.
Thank you.
It was close, but you were the winner, and we're very excited to have you as part of the portfolio and of course as a winner of the People's Choice. Congratulations, Michelle. Do you have any words as a winner of the People's Choice you'd like to share with everyone?
Actually, if I could, I would, because I actually saw people on this call that deserve huge thank yous. I'll be quick, I promise. My parents were on the call and I appreciate them because they're huge behind me. But actually, two other groups, there are a bunch of business owners in Erie that I have connected through in many different capacities, and they have been amazing, especially this past year with COVID. As a support team. They are amazing and they're on this call being my support friends and all of that, but also actually my college, Duville College. In the middle of COVID, they were panicking for student placements and I said, I have a crazy project, will you help me? And they said, yes. And so I had students helping me. So they were on the call today too. So I wanted to say thanks to everybody on the call that helped. Thank you.
Awesome. Congratulations again.
Thanks.
Now the moment we've all been waiting for, I'd like to share it back with the president and CEO of Ben Franklin Technology Partners, Central and Northern Pennsylvania. Steve Brawley, it's all yours.
Good afternoon again, everybody. Great job. It was fantastic watching you all today. I think every one of your business opportunities sounds like a real winner. And I absolutely encourage you to just keep pushing forward and let us know how we can help in that path. You know, it shows that innovation and entrepreneurship is alive and well in Northwest PA. So if anybody ever says, oh, you have to be on one of the coasts or have to be in a big city to do this kind of stuff, they're 100% wrong. It is, you would never get community support like is evidenced in Northwest PA. So congratulations on being in such a supportive community. And to that community, I challenge you and say, look, it's all of our jobs to lift all of these companies forward and do everything we can to make introductions, to help find funding, to pick them up when they're down. Together, we can really make a difference in the trajectory of these businesses. That said, there is one winner today, and it gives me great pleasure to announce the Northwest TechCelerator winner of $10,000 is Sidekick. Congrats, Cameron, Eric, Meredith, and Jonathan.
Congratulations, Eric and Cameron. Are you out there, or have you fallen
We
off?
are.
What words do you have for everybody?
We are fairly speechless. It has been, well, I know whenever we started working on Sidekick, we originally were starting out with an agency, and to go into this idea for a software as a service and to make so much progress over the past few months, it's definitely helped having the TechCelerator program take us through this journey of customer discovery and week in and week out doing pitches and making progress on it. And yeah, anything you want to add, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a real ride these past 10 weeks, you know, a lot of time commitment, being full-time students too, you know, it was a lot to take on, but we're really glad we did it. And yeah, and it pays off. The hard work pays off.
Awesome. Gents, we of course will be in touch, and as well, Michelle, we have some money coming your way. So congratulations. You know, as we mentioned, you're all part of the family. I will be reaching out to everyone to offer ongoing support and how we can help move your ideas forward. Thank you for honoring us with your effort and participating in the Ben Franklin Technology Partners Virtual TechCelerator program. That's all we got. Make sure you post on social media. And thanks everyone for participating, and have a great, wonderful evening. Congratulations again, Cameron, Eric, and Michelle.
Thank you, Brian. Good job.
A big hand
Great
for
job,
Brian as
everybody.
well. Great MC today. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Bye, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
Congrats. See you guys.